Welcome to week 2 of the Tarot Readathon. Today's June 8th, and it was a super busy day. We had a lot of packing up and moving the RV to do, so I'm tired. I went ahead and did my daily pull this morning off camera, but I got from my Galactic Star Tarot deck I pulled the Three of Swords and the Knight of Pentacles, and from my Moonology deck, I pulled the Be Bold card. So I did do that. I just did it off camera today. But so far, of the books that I've pulled prompts for, I have finished everything except for one. So I am currently working on Everyone on This Train is a Suspect. And this morning I finished The Wedding People for my Four of Wands prompt, which is read a book that features a celebratory event such as a wedding party or festival. And I loved The Wedding People. It was so poignant. It was just, I loved seeing Phoebe who came to that hotel to end things, and I loved seeing her fall in love with life and learn to live throughout the story, and just becoming one of the wedding people. So it was a beautiful story. I'm really leaning toward it being a 5-star. It was just amazing. And a bonus points, it fits with our Team Cups weekly Significator challenge. So our weekly card that we want to read for, find books that fit that additional prompt, is the Ace of Wands, which is it's a really easy prompt. It's to read an anticipated read or something that you can't stop thinking about. So that's a super easy prompt to fulfill this week. And The Wedding People has been on my want to read list for months. So I'm finally glad to get that ticked off. And yeah, I think it's a 5-star. So it's been a good but tiring day. I think since I only have one book left on my unread TBR, I want to go ahead and do another 3-card spread to see if we can get some more books on the TBR and kind of plan which ones are going to fit with our weekly team challenge. But really, our team challenge is so open-ended that really a lot of books can fit within that. So that's such a good card to have this week. And weekly standings. First one is 10 of Discs, which is 10 of Pentacles. For weekly standings, our group actually got first place in the Path of Pages way. There's 3 ways to win. 3 teams can win. And Team Cups got first place for the Path of Pages. And I'm so excited. I worked hard for that. That was a giant chunk. So, yeah, and I'm ready to keep up the competitive spirit. Ace of Cups. That's a pretty card. I like the crystals on it. And then this next card to pop out will be for the bonus points slot. The one to get a recommendation from someone. Ooh. Let's take the top one of that stack, the High Priestess. So for our first prompt, we got the 10 of Pentacles, which is read a book focusing on family and legacy, which that's a perfect card for that picture, because look, that's a family gathered together around a dinner table. So read a book focusing on family, legacy. We've got Ace of Cups. That's a pretty card. Where is Ace of Cups? Read a book that will fill your cup with joy. Ooh, that'll be interesting. And then that's a really pretty card. We got the High Priestess. Read a book with a mystery element. I've had that one before, and that one is something that's supposed to be recommended. So I'm excited. I think I'm going to take tonight to think about what books I want to fit in these prompts, and I'll come back tomorrow. Good morning, it's day 9 now, and last night I finished Everyone on This Train is a Suspect before bed, and I was a little bit disappointed with it because the first book in this Ernest Cunningham series was a 5-star for me. I loved it. And this one just didn't quite live up to that. It was lacking the comedy, the same humor that the first one did. Just the whole tone of it was different, and um, I didn't really care for any of the characters. There weren't, I don't know, the stakes weren't as, I don't know, there was something about it that was just off. So I thought it was okay, but it definitely did not live up to the 5-star that the first one was for me. Um, so I'm just doing my daily tarot pull for today, and then I picked my books for the cards that we pulled last night. For 10 of Pentacles, read a book focusing on family/legacy. I've got Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. The description for that. I actually own this book on, I own the ebook, but I haven't, I've had it for years and I just haven't opened it yet. But a trans boy determined to prove his gender to his traditional Latinx family summons a ghost who refuses to leave. Yadriel has summoned a ghost, and now he can't get rid of him. When his traditional Latinx family has problems accepting his true gender, Yadriel becomes determined to prove himself a real brujo. With the help of his cousin and best friend Maritza, he performs the ritual himself and then sets out to find the ghost of his murdered cousin and set it free. However, the ghost he summons is actually Julian Diaz, the school's resident bad boy, and Julian is not about to go quietly into death. He's determined to find out what happened and tie off some loose ends before he leaves. Left with no choice, Yadriel agrees to help Julian so that they can both get what they want. But the longer Yadriel spends with Julian, the less he wants him to leave. And I thought this was good for the family legacy aspect of it, because he wants to fit in with his family's witch legacy, but they are having trouble accepting his identity. And I think family is a very central theme to this book. And then read a book that will fill your cup with joy for Ace of Cups. I picked Will Prescribe You a Cat by Sue Ishida, sorry. And that's it's originally a Japanese novel and it's been translated. But a cat a day keeps the doctor away. Tucked away in an old building at the end of a narrow alley in Kyoto, the Kokoro Clinic for the Soul can only be found by people who are struggling in their lives and genuinely need help. The mysterious clinic offers a unique treatment to those who find their way there. It prescribes cats as medication. Patients are often puzzled by this unconventional prescription, but when they take their cat for the recommended duration, they witness profound transformations in their lives, guided by the playful, empathetic, occasionally challenging, yet endearing cats. So, I thought that was going to be beautiful and definitely will probably fill me up with joy, because cats, animals, you love it. And then for the High Priestess, read a book with a mystery element. I picked Charlie Donnelly's Don't Believe It. This was recommended to me a couple of years ago and I just haven't picked it up yet. And he's been really good about having twists and turns that you uncover and you don't know the whole story until the end. So I figured that was good. The Girl of Sugar Beach is the most watched documentary in television history, a riveting true-life mystery that unfolds over 12 weeks and centers on a fascinating question. Did Grace Siebold murder her boyfriend, Julian, while on a spring break vacation, or is she a victim of circumstance and poor police work? Grace has spent the last 10 years in a St. Lucian prison and reaches out to filmmaker Sydney Ryan in a last desperate attempt to prove her innocence. As Sydney begins researching, she uncovers startling evidence overlooked during the original investigation. Before the series even finishes filming, the public outcry leads officials to reopen the case. Delving into Grace's past, Sydney peels away layer after layer of deception, but as she edges closer to the real heart of the story, Sydney must decide if finding the truth is worth risking her newfound fame, her career, even her life. So those are the 3 books that I'll be focusing on next. And these are the cards we pulled. Nothing will come of this situation. Surrender to the Divine. 6 of Pentacles, Generosity, and Queen of Swords, Fairness. So I finished Will Prescribe You a Cat, and it was a really cute book overall. It was fun to see how the different cats changed everyone's lives and how they were touched in different ways depending on what they needed by each cat. And it was sweet, but I feel like maybe there was something a little lost in translation where it just didn't quite flow all the way. But, you know, it is a Japanese book translated into English, so that, I mean, there's bound to be something like that. And then, we've got that card before. And then I also finished Cemetery Boys. I've had this book since it first came out, and I don't know why I waited so long to read it, because it was such a good story. I really enjoyed it. It's YA, but other than, you know, the mention of school and going to school for a couple of days, it didn't really read too young. It wasn't a YA that I, you know, couldn't really enjoy anymore. I actually highly enjoyed this. And I felt for the characters and all the different familial responsibilities and issues that they had, and it was just, I loved the representation in it, and it was great. So I highly enjoyed Cemetery Boys. I would recommend it. But that means we're left with one book left, unread on the TBR. It's Don't Believe It by Charlie Donnelly. So I want to go ahead and pull another 3-card spread and get a couple more options on the list. Those are upside down. There we go. Okay. The Hanged Man. I haven't gotten that one yet. Pull that one. King of Swords. I don't think I've gotten that one yet either. And King of Cups. First up for the Hanged Man, it's read a book that has mixed media elements or pictures. And so I've got Illuminae. It's part of the Illuminae Files series. It's the first one. I don't know much about it other than I was watching Steph Love's YouTube video on her recommendations for different prompts, and this was one of the prompts and one of the recommendations for it. And then for King of Swords, it's read a book with scientific elements, and how could I not choose Platform Decay, which is the newest release in the Murderbot Diaries, and once I finish that, I will be caught up on that series, and I've been loving that series so far, so I have to do it while it's available. And then for King of Cups, it's read a book featuring guidance or mentorship, and I've never read The Hunger Games. It was recommended to me a few times, and I know that Haymitch is Katniss's mentor, and he guides her through the games. So finally, I'm gonna put the first one on the list. It is day 11 now, and I finished 2 books yesterday. Surprisingly, I finished Illuminae it's the first one in the Illuminae Files series. I did that for the Hanged Man mixed media prompt, and it was surprisingly interesting. I went in not knowing anything about it, other than it was mixed media, and I think that was the way to go, I think. It was really fast-paced. There was basically action or something going on throughout the whole thing, and it wasn't just one form of mixed media. There was private messages, there was interviews, there were surveillance cameras. It was really cool. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, and like I said, it read super fast. And then I also finished 4 Swords. I also finished Platform Decay by Martha Wells, which is the latest in the Murderbot Diaries, and this one had a lot more action than System Collapse did, and I liked it. There was Uh, some familiar people in it, but also not entirely fully familiar. However, and there were a couple of new people in it, but it was still really good. Uh, very actiony, and I loved the ending scene. Um, the final scene was just, it tied it all together. I loved it. It was great. Um, so they don't have what I'm looking for, but that's a several month wait on my library. Never read Divergent. I actually liked that book. I really liked that one. And the sequel's out now, but I might just do it from the library. They still don't have the second one. They have the first and the third. They have one left of that. Good morning. It's Friday, I think the 12th. Yep, June 12th. And hi. Hi. No, 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 no. And I finished The Hunger Games last night. I hadn't seen the movies either, but I know bits and pieces of what happened just by nature of being online. And even still, it was really interesting to see how it all unfolded in the text and everything. And I really liked it. It was a pretty fast read. It didn't feel too YA. I can see why it's basically the standard that a lot of things get compared to nowadays. It was really, really good. And since I finished The Hunger Games and I just have Don't Believe It left, I went ahead and pulled cards last night. And for the third time in a row, I got the High Priestess. Out of 78 tarot cards, and that one pops up 3 times, so apparently this readathon really wants me to read stuff with mystery in it. At least it wasn't in the third spot for double recommendation points, because I don't know if I have any more mystery related books that have been recommended to me. So for that one, I chose Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. I've been wanting to read it for months, but my library hasn't had it available for a while, but it's finally available, so I got that one. Jet is the daughter of one of the wealthiest families in Woodstock, Vermont. 27 years old, she's still waiting for her life to begin. She'll do it later, she always says. She has time. Until the night of Halloween, Jet is violently attacked by an unseen intruder. She suffers a catastrophic brain injury. The doctor is certain that within a week she'll suffer a deadly aneurysm. Jet never thought of herself as having enemies, but now she looks at everyone in a new light. Her family, her ex-best friend turned sister-in-law, her former boyfriend. She only has 7 days, and baby, sit down, please. Stop. She only has 7 days, and as her condition deteriorates, she has only her childhood friend Billy for help. But nevertheless, she's absolutely determined to finally finish something. Jet is going to solve her own murder. And that both sounds so good, but also like something that could be devastating. And then the next prompt we pulled was Page of Swords. Read a book featuring secrets or investigation. You can't get away with the mystery this week, or this readathon in general. And I picked Everyone This Christmas Has a Secret. It's the third in the Ernest Cunningham series by Benjamin Stevenson, I believe. And this one is a novella. It's under 200 pages. I figured it would be short and sweet, and I did finish it last night because it was super sweet. But this was Benjamin Stevenson returns with a Christmas edition to his mysteries. Basically, someone in his family is accused of murder again, and he's got just a few days until Christmas, or a couple days until Christmas to solve this murder. And it's all like part of a magic show type of thing. They're all professional tricksters, which are the suspects. So that was pretty good. I went into it figuring that would probably be more like everyone on this train versus everyone in my family. So because I went into it thinking it'll take after the second one a little more than the first, I actually enjoyed it, and it was short and sweet. And then for the third prompt, Queen of Wands, read a book with feminine rage, ambition, or confidence. And this one I picked Kill for Me, Kill for You. I think it's by Steve Kavanaugh. One dark evening on New York City's Upper West Side, two strangers meet by chance. Over drinks, Amanda and Wendy realize they have much in common, especially loneliness and an intense desire for revenge against the men who destroyed their families. As they talk into the night, they come up with the perfect plan. If you kill for me, I'll kill for you. In another part of the city, Ruth is home alone when the beautiful brownstone she shares with her husband Scott is invaded. She's attacked by a man with piercing blue eyes who disappears into the night. Will she ever be able to feel safe again while the blue-eyed stranger is out there? So that one sounds like it's about a lot of female vengeance, and I did do a quick Google, and it does say there's themes of feminine rage in there because the two women are, taking vengeance. But so hopefully that one fits the prompt. It was recommended to me, and it's been on my radar for a couple of years. So I am excited to get into that now. And we're just going to go with this. And this one. Four of Wands. So today is Saturday, and I finished another two books. I finished Don't Believe It by Charlie Donnelly, and it was going well for the first bit of it. There were a few little pitfalls, I think, but nothing major until about 90%. I wrote some notes down. I wrote that some of the different POVs took me out of the story. Like, obviously, with Charlie Donnelly's books, I know they're going to be connected, but I think it took me out too early on. And then also, because there was also some documentary footage that we were reading about, those were written entirely in italics, and those were hard to read, so I had to actually change the font on the ebook to be able to read that. But if it was a paperback, I don't know if that would have been as easy to read for other people or not. Yeah, all of his books seem to have multiple things going on at once, and it's a little bit overwhelming. But like I said, none of that was too major. Come here, sit down. None of that was too major until 90% in, and it pissed me off so bad that I had to knock a full star down. Not only did they kill someone integral to the story, I'm just getting into spoilers. They killed the main person. They killed her, and her killers got away with it, and they framed someone else. And that all happened in the last 10% of the book. That it was just, so it was a very unsatisfying ending. It was an unsatisfying ending. The killers got no justice. They got away with at least 3 murders. And you're telling me that the one person that's not involved but basically took the fall for it is sticking by the murderer's side and covering up the other, just because of some stupid guilt that they feel. Oh my god. It was unsatisfying. The ending pissed me off. I had to knock it down a full star. I was so angry. I was fuming at it. And then I finished Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. And this one, once I started it, I could not put it down. I stayed up until 5 in the morning finishing it. It was so good. I guessed the twists kind of early on, but I was still enjoying the ride throughout the story. I was still enjoying Jet and Billy, and I was hoping against all hope that there would be some way that Jet actually survives the aneurysm and doesn't actually die at the end. However, we're told from the very beginning that she's been murdered, basically, and she's only got 7 days left to live. And I was hoping beyond hope that that wouldn't be the case, but they did not lie about that. But like I said, even though I guessed kind of early on the twists and the who did it, I was still enjoying their process of Jet trying to figure out what happened. I do think that the ending, the very last chapter, from Billy's point of view, was unnecessary. I feel like it kind of spoon fed us what happened. I feel like we had enough resources to know who did it and why, and that we could have just ended with how Jet ended, where it wasn't entirely clarified. She didn't entirely know, but you had the clues that you pretty much knew. I didn't think we needed that extra chapter going, yeah, this was it, this was who did it. And the way that ended was a bit unnecessary for me. I feel like it was kind of spoon-fed when it shouldn't have been. I feel like it would have been a better ending, ending with Jet like that, especially since she wasn't gonna be there for the last bit, you know? But yeah, I was hoping beyond all hope that there was some tiny thing that would, mean she survived it. But we're told from day one that she's not going to survive, and that is not a lie. But it was so good, I couldn't put it down. It's not perfect for me, but it's definitely highly rated. Good morning. It is Sunday. I don't know what date it is, but I did my my tarot pull off camera, so I got Six of Pentacles, Generosity, and Page of Swords, Inspection, for my daily tarot pull today. Mentally, I'm not doing too great. My laptop screen just randomly broke and went on the fritz last night, so I just didn't feel like doing the tarot on camera. But yesterday I did also pull a new 3-card spread, and I finished 2 of those 3 books already, and I'm working on the 3rd, but it's a chonker because for the 10 of Wands we pulled read a book that feels heavy, emotionally dense subject matter, or physically a big heavy book. And Wanderers by Chuck Wendig is a very heavy book. It's been on my TBR ever since it came out. I own the ebook version of it. I did check out the audio from Libby to help with the immersion reading, but it's a chonker. It is near 800 pages. The audiobook is 32 hours long, so it's definitely heavy for Wanderers. And that was for the 10 of Wands prompt. Shanna wakes up one morning to discover her little sister in the grip of a strange malady. She appears to be sleepwalking. She cannot talk and cannot be woken up, and she's heading with inexorable determination to a destination that only she knows. But Shanna and her sister are not alone. Soon they're joined by a flock of sleepwalkers from across America on the same mysterious journey. And like Shanna, there are other shepherds who follow the flock to protect their friends and family on the long, dark road ahead. For as the sleepwalking phenomenon awakens the terror and violence in America, the real danger may not be the epidemic but the fear of it. With society collapsing all around them and an ultra-violent militia threatening to exterminate them, the fate of the sleepwalkers depends on unraveling the mystery behind the epidemic. The terrifying secret will either tear the nation apart or bring the survivors together to remake a shattered world. Like I said before, I've loved Chuck Wendig's writing, so far it's really, really good. It's just long. And the first of the 2 books I finished yesterday was the 9 of Wands prompt, read a book with survival elements, and I chose Grey After Dark by Noelle W. Eiley. This has been on my list for a couple of years too, and it was really gripping and fast to get through. Once I started it, I didn't want to put it down. It follows Miley, who is an Olympic biathlete. In her off season, she volunteers in the wilderness in I I think it's Idaho, I'm not sure. But she gets abducted by a father-son duo who are survivalist preppers living off-grid in the woods, and this is about her trying to survive and escape them, and also follows her best friend who's in love with her, who never gives up on his search to find her. And it is based on true events. It's based on, I believe, the Olympian Carrie Swenson, and who got abducted in the 80s, um, and survived that. And it's a very harrowing book, but I could not put it down. It was very fast. So I did that for the survival prompt. And then the other prompt that I pulled was Knight of Wands. Read a book involving travel or exploration, and I chose Left of Forever by Tara DeWitt. And I know it's about two exes who dropped their son off at college for the first time and decide to take a road trip on the way back home to decide if they want to give their relationship another chance. And I enjoyed it. I don't love second chances all the time, but I think this one did it right. It did it well. There was no just it wasn't just full of intimacy, or, it wasn't full of steamy scenes all the time. They really focused on hashing out their grievances, what went wrong, and learning and trying to do better. So it was really believable, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the characters. It's technically number 2 in an interconnected series, but a lot of people that I follow on YouTube have read this one before they read the first one. So, and I felt okay doing that. And yep, so that's it. I'm still working on Wanderers, and I'm still working on Kill for Me, Kill for You. But I'm going to end this video here, and I hope you had a great week.